Two men, same island, same street, same dreams. For nearly 20 years, they have made each other's life a living hell. This is not a story about who won. This is a story about what it costs to be the best.
Killa, Bounty Killa never beat me yet. Me just give him one. Me just wind up. Never beat me yet. Never in life. You'd say Killa never beat you at least?
Out of the four of us, Beanie is the better performer.
Really?
Yeah. Don't take nothing from a man.
Yeah, Beenie do a whole part dancing.
No, Beanie is a performer.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not the better artist. He's the better performer. You understand?
This clash went beyond any lyrical war in history because it got way too personal. From lyrical bombs and disrespects to Beenie Man getting married to Bounty Killer's ex-girlfriend and starting a whole family. Rodney Basil Price, born June 12, 1972, in Kingston, Jamaica. He grew up in Trenchtown, one of the roughest communities in the country. His family moved to Riverton City, then Seaview Gardens. Now, if you know Kingston, you know that these are not easy places to grow up as a child. But Rodney was no ordinary child. From a tender age, he started to DJ on sound systems. Not in the studio, not on stage, but in the streets where it mattered most. At the age of 16 years old, a gunfight breaks out between rival political factions. A stray bullet caught Rodney and he was rushed to the hospital where he survived.
When we get gunshot, when we are 16, it's you know bad. But I want bad. If I saw badness feeling in my ribs, me no bad I want no more. So me could make the song name for my man back him gun you feel run. Copper shot, hey mommy tell you not trust that he would come.
Now, any 16-year-old would leave the music behind because of that experience. As Rodney Price laid in his hospital bed, he decided on a new stage name. This was the origin of Bounty Killer. He came out of the hospital even hungrier. Bounty Killer went back to the performance and sound systems like nothing happened. His talents were recognized and he was referred to King Jammy's studio, where he recorded his first single called Copper Shot. King Jammy heard it and gave his honest review, saying it was too inappropriate for radio play. His uncle disagreed and released it anyway, and the song became an underground hit in Jamaica and New York. Bounty Killer has arrived.
Me and her have a divorce agreement to deal with. I think she should have still come on my birthday because me is her husband. You understand? And me is Marco father. So why should you call me and tell me on my phone say you got a Bounty Killer birthday party? And Bounty Killer disrespect you so much in the media and call you the worst things. And me and him kick off the last time because he disrespect you. And you left and got a Bounty Killer birthday party where people start texting next man now why Angel is in birthday party or what Angel is doing at Bounty Killer birthday party. Me have to deal with that too. You understand what I say? To make people know say yeah, them are co-work and them are artists, so regardless of what happened and all of these things. And then she not come on my birthday. Angel last birthday party, me and I wasn't no friend either. And I kept it. I should have on my birthday party. Let me just decide say, please, me I beg you, just finish me heartache and my hurt. Just please, me I beg you, just send the divorce paper. She said, I will never get married again. Because you can only die once, you know?
Moses Anthony Davis, born August 22nd, 1973, at the Waterhouse District in Kingston, 1 year younger than Rodney Price. But in some ways, he was more exposed to music. His uncle was Sidney Knowles, the man who played drums for Jimmy Cliff back in the day. Music wasn't something Beanie discovered. It was in his blood from birth. He won the Tasty Talent competition at just 8 years old. By 1981, he had a debut single. And by 1983, he had a full album. The album was called The Invincible Beenie Man, the 10-year-old DJ wonder. And yes, he was 10. But then school happened, life happened, and he stepped away from music. He came back in the early 90s and started demonstrating his craft alongside giants like Ninja Man, Admiral Bailey, Shabba Ranks, and King Yellowman. At the 1992 Reggae Sunsplash performance, the crowd saw something different in him, which means momentum was building. But then came Sting 1993 and everything changed for both of them. Every year on Boxing Day, Jamaican dancehall comes alive at one event that matters above all others. Sting. No set times and no politeness. You go on the stage, you perform, and the crowd decides if you live or die. Musically, Bounty Killer goes up raw and aggressive. He's got something to prove because he has been watching. Here's the thing about Bounty Killer. He believed Beenie Man had stolen his style. His vocal delivery, his catchphrases. Basically, he thought Beenie Man had stolen his whole identity. The thing he built from nothing in the streets of Kingston. Bounty said it himself. It's really a musical issue. Where Beenie come on a pirate my style and I act like a fiend. He abused his permit, so I showed him no, he had no right to abuse this. That was not just anger, that is a man who felt robbed. So when they clashed at Sting that night, it was not just performance, it was personal. Now here's what you need to understand about sound clashes in Jamaica. This is not a rap beef where we just drop a diss track and wait. This is a live event in front thousands of people. The crowd is the judge and the crowd is the jury. You don't get a second take. Both of them, barely out of their teens, stood on that stage and went at each other lyrically. Similar vocal deliveries, similar energy. That was actually a part of why the crowd got crazy. It was because they were so evenly matched. And that first clash didn't conclude the war, it started one. Because what happened after Sting 1993 wasn't a resolution. It was declaration. Dancehall had two kings now, and both of them wanted the throne alone. The people had to choose a side. Bounty Camp or Beanie Camp. Seaview Gardens or Waterhouse. Warlord or Doctor. Jamaica was divided, and these two men, they were about to pour gasoline on it. Now, Beenie Man didn't just sit down and take it, because that's not who Beenie Man is. According to Beenie, the war with Bounty Killa was actually the reason why he changed his whole direction as an artist. He started doing gun songs because of this rivalry. He adapted, he evolved, and he matched Bounty Killa's energy. Some people call it stealing, others call it competition making both men better. Just think about this for a second. Bounty and Beenie were young artists at the time, and this clash propelled their career. The clash that was supposed to end a career actually did great for two. The fight they thought that would destroy them made them both legends. Nobody was thinking about legacy in 1993. The 90s was about to be the longest, loudest war Jamaican music had ever seen, and Beenie and Bounty's career began to thrive because of this clash. The 1990s in Jamaican dancehall is one of the most competitive decades in the history of Caribbean music, and right at the center of it was Bounty Killa and Beenie Man. By 1994, Bounty had already released 4 albums. He was prolific in a way that most artists can't comprehend, and in 1995 he made a power move. He left King Jammy's label to set up his own production company called Scare Them Production and his own label called Priceless Records. He wasn't just an artist anymore, he was building an empire. Meanwhile, Beenie, 1993, had his first #1 in Jamaica. He went on to win the DJ of the Year awards, and he won it 7 more times in a row. Not 1, 8. So you've got 2 men, right? Both winning, both dominating, and yet they still refuse to share the crown. As for the fans were fully invested in supporting their side. The entire dancehall was polarized. Is either you were Beenie or Bun. There was no neutral territory. Now here's the fascinating thing about this period. The rivalry wasn't just making them enemies. It was making them better. Every time Bounty dropped something new, Beenie had to respond. Every time Beenie won an award, Bounty had to dig deeper. They were sharpening like two blades against each other. The 1994 album Guns Out literally documented pieces of this lyrical feud. Songs were coded responses. Lyrics had layers if you knew what you were listening for. Every track from the two had a specific target. And then there were also the live clashes. Sting wasn't a one-time thing. They clashed and clashed over and over again. Every time the crowd got bigger, each time the stakes got higher. Bounty Killa himself said, "When I go on stage, I want to dominate the crowd with lyrics. I don't want to show nobody how bad I am as a man. I want to show them how bad I am as an artist." That was a very important line because all this fire between them and it never got physical. It stayed in music. Now that's discipline and professionalism even in the middle of war. By the late 90s, both men were unstoppable forces. Bounty Killa was called the warlord and the poor people's governor. Beenie Man's fans called him the king of the dancehall or the lyrical doctor. Jamaica had 2 kings and the rest of the world was about to find out about them. Now here is where the story gets even more interesting. While Beenie and Bounty were busy beefing, the international music world was paying attention to both of them. Let's talk about Bounty Killa first. This man was collaborating with international stars like Busta Rhymes and Swiss Beats. In 1997, he covered Love Don't Live Here Anymore with Swedish singer Robin, becoming a hit across the Caribbean. But what was the moment that changed everything for Bounty Killa internationally? In 2002, he collaborated with No Doubt on a song called Hey Baby. That song won a Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Performance by a duo duo or group. A hardcore dancehall artist from Seaview Gardens just won a Grammy, one of the first of his kind to do it too. Hey Baby went platinum and sold over 1 million copies. At the time, Bounty Killa had done what nobody thought possible. No, Beenie Man wasn't sitting around idle either. In 1994, he was signed by Island Records. His hottest hit single at the time, Who Am I, went gold internationally. He made the Newsweek magazine representing for Jamaica and Waterhouse. In 1998, he won the Mobo Awards for Best International Reggae Artist. And Girls Dem Sugar featuring Maya and Beenie Man was playing everywhere at the time. Not to mention in 2002 when he worked with Janet Jackson on major hits like Feel It Boy. The Associated Press called him King of the Dancehall Reggae Scene. In 2009, Reggae Sumfest officially crowned Beenie Man King of the Dancehall. So here's what you need to process. Two men at war with each other, both of them Grammy winners. Both went international, and both of them made history. The rivalry didn't hold either of them back. I would say that it actually pushed them forward. But no, none of that. Not the Grammys, not the international deals. None of it ended the rivalry. Because 2006 was coming, and 2006 was going to make everything personal in a way that music never could.
Liquor, children in England, no say that Beenie Man is a very loyal person. Why you married 2 times and woman have left you? If I married again.
But that can also be because you traumatize him.
But I don't do nothing to the man who give him good wife. A good wife this.
Her name is Michelle Downer, popularly known as The Angel, one of the most beautiful women in the game. And before 2006, she was Bounty Killa's woman. Now, I am not going to turn this into gossip. This is a documented part of public history. If you think I should do a video on the love triangle, please let me know in the comments. Now, let's get to it. In 2006, Beenie Man got romantically involved with The Angel, and they got married in the same year. Now, let's think about what that meant. You and your rival have been at war for 13 years. Musical beef, clash beef, crown beef, and now woman beef? Better only they get a can beef. They even patina beef so them the time there. There was nothing wrong with Bounty Killa and Beenie Man. They were wrong with something. Beenie Man got married to Bounty Killa's ex-girlfriend. This wasn't music anymore. The words that came out after that moment were different from anything they exchanged on stage. Bounty Killa's vocals made his feelings known, and Beenie Man stood his ground. The rivalry that somehow stayed professional for over a decade now had a personal layer that neither of them could just perform away. The Angel herself has spoken about this. She said that she's more than her relationship history, more than just a woman in Bounty and Beanie's story. And she's right. For the purpose of this rivalry, her TV presence made a specific shift. The musical beef became personal and the rivalry moved off stage into real life. Beenie and The Angel got married in 2006 and by 2011 they got divorced. The Angel and Bounty Killa eventually had their own history. People are never simple, but this is one of the most amazing parts of the story. Even through all of this personal pain, neither of them turned it violent. No physical altercations documented and no escalation beyond words. They were still dancehall men to the core. And in dancehall, you don't get physical, you use your voice as a weapon. In dancehall, you weaponize your music, not your fist. The beef was real, the hurt was real, and the discipline was also real. Fast forward to 2012 and something happened that neither Grammys or Clash nor a woman could have ever predicted. Bounty Killa's mother, Miss Ivy, had passed away. I wanted to understand something before I tell you what happened next. At this point, Bounty and Beenie had been rivals for almost 20 years. They did multiple clashes at Sting and traded diss songs. There was the D'Angel situation, the public words, and the public wounds. Nobody, not fans, not journalists, not industry people, nobody would have expected what Beenie Man did. Beenie Man showed up at Miss Ivy's funeral. He was there at the church, not on a stage, not performing, just there as a man paying his respects. Bounty Killa has spoken about this moment, and when he does, you hear something different in his voice. Not the warlord, not the general, just a son who lost his mother. And the man he considered his greatest enemy walked in through those doors. Bounty said that one of the greatest gestures Beenie have ever extended to him was showing up at the church. He called it one of the greatest displays of brotherhood. That was the word he used after 20 years of rivalry, brotherhood. The rivalry didn't end at Sting, it ended at a graveside. You can clash with a man for 20 years over music, but when his mother dies and you show up anyway, that's a different kind of statement. That is saying underneath all of this, we are two people from the same island, same struggle and same culture. I don't know if Bounty Killa and Beenie Man plan to reconcile, and I don't know if either of them woke up that day thinking that this was the moment. But Miss Ivy's funeral was the moment. Everything after 2012 was different. Something had shifted permanently. The warlord and the doctor had found something that 20 years of clashes never gave them. each other, and they did something no one expected. In 2014, 2 years after Miss Ivy's funeral, Bounty Killer and Beenie Man walked into a studio together, not to clash nor to respond to each other, but to create. They recorded a song called Legendary, and if you think about the title, really it says everything. They weren't calling themselves rivals anymore, they were calling themselves legends together. Bounty Killer spoke about the rivalry in 2021, and the way he framed it tells you everything about where his head was. Most people grow up hearing us being rivals. They don't know how exactly it went, but now they are growing up seeing us as friends. He also said something that I think is important for anyone watching this video. Please subscribe. It wasn't anything beyond music, fighting for our space in the game. That's what the whole thing was, and doing so, they created one of the greatest rivalries in the history of Caribbean music. I personally think that Bounty and Beanie set a good example for the new, young and upcoming artists by having this heat of a rivalry and never getting physical on stage. What are your thoughts? Please let me know in the comments. Until next time, the mailman is out.